Effective communication is essential in any military operation, and during World War II, advancements in radio technology revolutionized the way armies coordinated across vast battlefields. Radios and field communication systems became the nerve center of tactical and strategic operations, enabling faster responses, more accurate coordination, and more cohesive command structures. From foot soldiers on the ground to generals at headquarters, radios played a crucial role in shaping the course of the war. Pre-war communication methods. Before World War II, military communication relied heavily on wired telephones, signal flags, flares, couriers, and even carrier pigeons. While these methods had served in World War I, they were slow, vulnerable to enemy interference, and inadequate for the demands of a fast-moving, mechanized war. The interwar period saw rapid developments in radio technology, and by the late 1930s, most major militaries had begun integrating radios into their communications infrastructure. However, the quality, portability, and availability of equipment varied widely between nations and units. Radio equipment in the field. During World War II, radios came in many forms, from backpack portable transceivers to massive vehicle-mounted sets. Two of the most well-known U.S. field radios were the SEER 536 and the SEER 300. SEER 536 Handy Talkie. This was one of the first handheld radios, used primarily for short-range communication between infantry units. Lightweight and simple to operate, it had a range of about 1 mile under ideal conditions. SEER 300 walkie-talkie. Larger and carried as a backpack, the SEER 300 was a more powerful VHF-FM radio. It offered greater range and reliability, especially in hilly or wooded terrain, making it a key asset for platoon and company-level coordination. Other nations developed similar technologies. The German Wehrmacht employed radios like the Torn.Fu series, which were used for infantry and armored unit communication. However, German reliance on pre-planned orders and tight radio discipline sometimes hindered their adaptability in fast-changing battlefield situations. Command and control. Radios allowed for real-time coordination between frontline troops and higher headquarters. For armored and mechanized units, radios were critical. Tank crews, especially in American and British forces, benefited greatly from internal intercoms and external radio systems, allowing them to coordinate maneuvers with infantry and artillery. In contrast, early in the war, German tanks often lacked radios for every vehicle, forcing some units to rely on signal flags or visual cues. This gave Allied armored units an edge in communication and adaptability as the war progressed. Aircraft also relied heavily on radios for navigation, coordination, and targeting. Fighter pilots used radios to receive orders, while bomber crews coordinated defensive actions and bombing runs via onboard intercoms and external communication with command. Encryption and signal security. One major challenge with radio communications was ensuring that messages were secure. To combat enemy interception, militaries used encryption and coded messages. The Allies famously broke several Axis codes during the war, including the German Enigma cipher, thanks to efforts by British and Polish codebreakers at Bletchley Park. Field radios often transmitted using simple voice or Morse code, which could be easily intercepted. As a result, many units used authentication codes, brevity codes, and preset schedules to minimize exposure and maintain operational security. Limitations and challenges. Despite their advantages, World War II radios had several limitations. Limited range and power. Many radios were short-range and depended on terrain and weather conditions. Bulky equipment. Even portable radios were often heavy and required multiple operators or battery packs. Susceptibility to interference. Signals could be jammed or degraded, particularly in urban or mountainous environments. Training requirements. Effective use required trained operators, making radio discipline a crucial component of military success. World War II marked a turning point in the use of battlefield communication technology. The widespread deployment of radios transformed command and control, enabling the fast-paced, combined arms operations that defined the war's later years. Post-war developments built on these advancements, laying the foundation for modern military communication systems, including satellite links, secure digital networks, and real-time GPS-based coordination. Today's militaries owe much of their communications doctrine and technology to the lessons learned from WWII's radio and field communication systems.